Welcome back to another session here with Rhythm Emperors, where we just have some cool stories and talk about some new R&B discoveries, which I usually get to at the end of the session here, end of the podcast, and bring you on to somebody that I think is new and dope, and we'll talk about that whatever soon. So again, my first episode where I introduced myself and basically just told you how I got into the game and where I'm in the game. So just to extend, whatever from that, in regards of how I got into the industry. So, now I'm basically, I basically learned the trade, and now I'm thrust upon, thrown out in the woods with a spear and a knife. And now I'm trying to come home with food. Because you can get a publishing deal, but when you get a publishing deal, they try to get you work with people who are on the label. But then you still have to go out there basically and market yourself. You have to basically put yourself out there, and that's through your work, and also through social channels and knowing stuff. So even while I was doing that, while I was with the previous guy I told you about, the guy who I began with, his name was Timmy Allen. But my actual mentor in the music business, his name was Charles Farrar. Charles Farrar was actually my mentor, where I found out through him where you can have this talent, right? You can have this talent as a songwriter, producer, you can have this stuff, right? But still, the business part of the industry, that is just so important. You have the music and you have the music industry, type thing. So you have to be able to, you may have to have your business has to be way up. If you don't have nobody, if you don't have a partner or nothing like that, I'm just telling you, you're not going to bring any work, whatever, to the table. And all that, the ingredients, whatever, to all that is to basically have, the ingredients, all that is basically to have a partner who has relationships. And I'm talking about with attorneys, I'm talking about with record execs, all that kind of stuff. So, I started hanging out with him. Actually, I knew Timmy at this time, whatever, as well. But I started hanging out with Charles and started heavy going on, whatever, with Charles as he put me on. And this guy was major, man. Him and his partner, Troy Taylor, they scored a #1 hit with Tyrese Sweet Lady, writing wise. And they had some other stuff, but again, it's Troy Taylor, who is absolutely dope. Troy Taylor's dope. Troy Taylor's dope. I give credit no matter what. It ain't even no matter what. Like, no matter what the situation. And to be honest with you, couldn't think about it. Before I go into that, I actually really met Charles Farrar through Troy Taylor, right? We were going to this place called Cafe Wah, that's in Manhattan. And it's a musician, whatever spot. So a musician and everything, whatever go. And I was hanging out there because, again, I get to know singers because I needed to get my demos and stuff done because I was an okay singer, but not like that. This before auto-tune and all that stuff. You really had to sing your own. But anyway, so I was going to Cafe Wah and I met Troy through there. Troy's a musician, singer himself. He initially started as an artist too. We'll talk about that, in a minute. Well, Troy is from Connecticut, right? So he was a singer, songwriter, producer. It is a singer, songwriter, producer, and he used to do the same thing. We used to go there. We used to go with this guy named Ron Grant, some of this spot, who's a very, very dear friend to me, who I brought them around when he was at this place called the West End Cafe across the street from Columbia College. Columbia University College. But anyway, so I used to go there, and he brought Carl Thomas at this time. This is when nobody, Carl Thomas wasn't done. He was in a group. I forgot the group, but I know the group. I forgot the name of the group. But I know the members were Johnny and Rock. They were brothers and stuff from New Jersey, singing fools, super cool singing fools. And Johnny, he could have been a comedian if he wanted to in another life. He's just a great guy, right? So, but anyway, so and this was their group. This was Charles and Troy's group. I'm so upset that I can't remember their name. The name of the group. I can't remember the name of the group, but anyway, they were great. So anyway, but I was there, and they go there, and it'd be open mic, and then they go there, and they'll sing, and all that stuff like that. And again, with me, like I just always have this, this social ability where I'm able just to click like whatever with people, usually the right people. So anyway, so clicking with them, hanging out with them, and just started seeing them every week, whatever kind of thing. And the next thing you know, I started hanging out with them. Me and Carl got to really like being cool with each other and stuff. Cause Troy, whatever, was cool, and he was great far as for music wise. He was music wise, but me and him, like we weren't the hangout type. Like it was not like we hung out. Like he did different things and I did different things. Like I was a different type, he was a different type, kind of stuff. And that's all it was. Like again, it was no funny business, nothing like that. He just did his thing and I did mine. Carl and I hung out because we chased girls. We did music. Carl didn't really drink whatever that much. I think at that time he smoked. Like he still smoke, but he didn't really drink that much. But we hung out and we did those things. We were just in those things. And then plus, like I said, I was semi plugged in New York a little bit because I just knew the right people, and I used to bring him to different clubs. Like I said, into the Ron Grant whatever space, which was huge. His open mic was huge. Like he discovered Beyonce, a bunch of stuff. Ron Grant, everybody know who Ron Grant is. But so we used to just go on those circuits and we had fun. We were young, having fun. It is what it is, right? So, one day, Troy, Carl, it's either Carl or Troy, I get it mixed up, invited me back to their brownstone in Brooklyn, which was on Bond Street in Brooklyn, right? They had this huge, the entire brownstone, right, is what they had. And I'm just like, I'm like, who the heck are these? Who are these guys? Something like that. Where they doing it, you would think like they're like Major. You would think they're like Puffy. You know what I'm saying? The way that he was doing it. For real, like Charles had a whole brownstone. He was driving a big Hummer. I'm talking about the Hummer that everybody wanted, whatever, at that time. Did he have the Hummer? Yeah, I believe he had the Hummer. I think he had the Hummer at that time. He had the Hummer or the G-Wagon. I think it was a Hummer. Anyway, like he had it at that time. He had this big brownstone with a full studio in the basement. It was sexy. About 3-4 floors of greatness. He kept it clean, It just was on point. And I'm like, who the heck is this guy? So it intrigued me, and I wanted to know how this machine, whatever, was rolling. So I would be there, and I'm coming in for music and stuff. And I remember Charles came down to the studio, and then that's when Troy introduced me. That's what it was. Carl introduced me back to the brownstone, and then when I was there at the studio, Troy introduced me to Charles. That's how that happened. So anyway, so being there and I'm writing, and stuff like that, but mainly Troy's writing that's his joint. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm sitting there learning a lot, whatever, with Troy. Troy is fantastic. Even to this day, I think he does classes and stuff online and things. Troy was like that. Like he basically saw me playing video games, right? And this was the click. He told me, like, if you could press those buttons and play video games, then you can come over here and learn this board. And sat me down at the board. Like I said, no matter what happened, no matter how I may feel about how things may have turned out, whatever case, I'm always going to tell the truth. I'm always going to give people their flowers when it's supposed to be. And I'm going to tell you, so Troy was the first person to actually bring me to the mixing board and show me how to mix, show me how to do show me how to move these buttons, show me how to have my lyrics, he also taught me, not saying taught me because I already knew it, but he kind of showed me in song form metaphors, right? And when I say show me, he showed me from example. A lot of kids nowadays, they need somebody to hold their hand and do it. I don't. The fact that I had the access to be able to sit in the studio while these sessions, whatever, were going on, and I'm watching him, and then he used to ask me questions, and then I used to watch how he used to, whatever, interact with the vocalists and stuff like that. That was, again, invaluable, whatever, for me. Like, I learned how to do vocals, a lot, whatever, more, whatever, from Troy. Obviously, I learned a little bit from Tim, but again, like I said, it was, like, Tim was a beginning class with me, and this is no disrespect. Tim was a beginning class for me, which was necessary for me to do that, and it enhanced my ability that I already had. But Troy basically put me in a master class. This is the truth. Troy put me in a master class and showed me, physically showed me how to do it, what I'm pressing, showed me how to connect the boards, like all that stuff, like everything. Like I was able to go into a studio anywhere on my own because of Troy. Like I didn't need a assistant, like really with that. I needed an engineer at that time, but I didn't need an assistant because Troy showed me how I can go in there, put things together, and I can do it myself. I'm telling you, it's important. That's why I'm spending time saying that. It's very important, whatever, to know that, especially at that time, because everything was analog. It wasn't what it is now. It wasn't all digital and all this AI, whatever stuff. This was analog. You had to know, right? Kind of, you were doing songs on a VHS tape, basically. Is what you were doing it on, ADAT machines and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so I learned a lot with that, microphones, what microphones work with certain songs, move. Again, I give it credit, that was Troy and Charles, all right? But Troy, because Troy was, far in there in the beginning, far as with what I know at that time. But Charles, again, was my mentor, and I met him, whatever, through there. He took a liking to me, and he seen, like, my swag. He seen what it was, and from there we clicked. And I knew what I provided, whatever, to Charles. Charles is like a big dude, like a big football Suge Knight looking dude that is very intimidating. Like if you don't know him, right? I don't care, he light skin. Like it's very intimidating to go in there. He didn't really like he laughed and joked, but it was like more in private. It wasn't like really out there in the public and stuff like that, which is something I also learned too, not to show your teeth a lot. People handle you differently. I'm telling you, that sounds simple, but it's don't show your teeth so much when you're out there. People won't take you seriously. But anyway, I learned a lot of that stuff, whatever, from Charles. With that, how he was dealing with people. People weren't really sure how to handle him. So, he got a lot of work and did a lot of business, but he wasn't able to socially be, popping like that with Troy. Troy socially was like, and I'm just being honest, he was wild. Troy would say anything. Troy was wild, Troy was an open book, like far as with his emotions, like he would tell you like who he was. That was just the type of guy, whatever Troy was, and it could sometimes hurt him business-wise, and sometimes it can help them depending on the type of client, whatever that they had. We'll get into that, whatever, as well. But anyway, so being with Charles was like, that kind of guy. So with me, I brought a more different kind of personality. I was able to talk to anybody, and Charles liked that. So we were able to go into meetings, and it was certain parts where we just knew where he would come in there leading, obviously, because we're only in there because of him, right? But he would take it from there, and then I would know whatever when to chime in. And again, that's something that I learned by being there. And I'm talking about with Charles, you weren't in there. You weren't in meetings with some with some poo putts. You was in there with like official people who were basically saying, this is how much you're going to get. All right, boom, it's done. Before we get to the elevator, the lawyers were called and the deals was already done. This is with him. So you had to be on point. And he never said it, but, you always knew that every time you went in a position like that, you were out there with him, that it was a test. So, you had to be on point because he just won't mess with you. At the end of the day, he just won't mess with you, period. If you screw up, and that kind of thing, because, he taught me as an entrepreneur, as a person, as an independent business owner, which they were, is that how everything is crucial. Every meeting, everything that you have is crucial, right? So you're going to have to take everything, whatever, seriously, be prepared, whatever, for everything. I remember one time I was writing up something like a label to put like on a cassette tape, because again, this is back in the days we were doing a cassette tape, and he used to correct the lettering on it, like you missed a letter, or just anything, whatever like that. He was meticulous, you know. Again, and I've always said, there's never, I'm never, it's not a mistake when someone is successful. It's not a mistake. You know, that ingredient of being successful is what I've learned through my career. Everyone has the same thing. Everyone follows the same road, and everyone follows the same steps to be that stuff. So I'm never shocked. You have to have talent. You have to have whatever it is, whatever for. You have to have a certain ability. You know, whatever that keeps you humble, and also that keeps you just on top of your business, right? You don't take advantage of one single iota of anything, and that's how you're able to be successful. And I'm telling you, if you look at anybody that's successful, you can see that how they are obsessed with being like perfect, you know, as far as with that one thing that feeds them. And he was definitely that, and I've learned that whatever from Charles. And he also taught me a lot of things. I didn't even sushi. I used to be like, I ain't no damn sushi. You know, I'm from the hood. I wouldn't eat none of that stuff. I was eating grits. Scrambled eggs was good for me, or McDonald's burgers, right? But he taught me how important it was for me to be in certain spots, in certain restaurants, and how you can use those places to conduct meetings, and also you could use those places to be seen. And he showed me how much perception is. Not reality. He showed me how much perception is, right? Because there are people in there, you know, at that time who hanging out in these spots, and they just eating appetizers, but they're in the place. But you think they're rich, or you think they got it going on because they're in the place where everybody is at. So he showed me how important it is, whatever, to be and that kind of stuff. And I'm telling you, you think it sounds like nothing, but those things were very important, whatever, to be. And he also showed me how to conduct myself in that stuff. He also showed me, why are you talking to this girl? Don't play yourself. This is who you need to talk to, right? And he showed me why, like all that stuff. I'm telling you, very meticulous. Showed me all these things. He introduced me before, when I said I was introduced before, that was at one specific label. With Charles, I was introduced to a plethora of people. Like I'm talking about in various different regular. This guy had relationships with everyone. He did business with and he did sincere business with everyone. And you would call him shrewd. But I guess anybody to be successful, and I've learned, you have to be shrewd. Any successful woman who's doing business, if she's not called a bitch, she's not a good businesswoman. It's just a fact. If Sylvia Rome been called a bitch her entire whatever career, and she's been successful, she's 70, 80 years old and still in the game, right? And people call her names, you know, she's like, whatever, and keep it moving. That is just a sign, of a good businesswoman. If you're not called a bitch as a woman, you're not a good businesswoman. It's just a fact. It's almost, wear that with pride when somebody say that. And when it comes to a guy, you're shrewd or you're intimidating, everything. And Charles really wasn't. I'm telling you, I think I had my best laughs with this guy, right? My best laughs with this guy. So, you know, but again, he would punch you in your face, right? And so would I. So like we actually meshed well together. I'm gonna tell you something else. I'm gonna give you another instance. I don't know if you're looking at this. He's like, oh my God. He gonna say, I'm gonna spare the guy's name. It's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spare his name. This is an A&R person, and I'm going to go as far to say, I think it was over at Motown. It could have been over at Motown when that was popping. I'm going to spare his name, who I'm talking about right now. If anybody try to get cute with me, I will throw names out if I have to, all right? But he was an A&R person, whatever, over there. And we went there, and Charles had me going on, which I always, you know, whatever, roll with him. And we were going to finish up. I think he was finished up getting his money from a deal that was already made. I think he got his front end and he was looking for his back end. And also we were talking about whatever the percentages that would do whatever to him and Troy from some songs, whatever that they wrote. So, so we go in the office and the guy is just being disrespectful, right? So he's just talking crazy. And when I mean whatever by crazy, Charles is like, yo, so where's that money? Far as whatever what we have, and then and then also, we're supposed to be doing this next job, and this is how much it's gonna cost, whatever, for that kind of thing. Charles discussing it, and Charles is sitting down, and I'm standing up as usual. When I go to me, it's almost like a kind of thing where we just know what to do. He didn't have to tell me stand up over here, like whatever. It's something that we've done, because I'm gonna tell you about another incident, whatever that we have. But anyway, so this one, he's sitting down and he's talking to the guy. The guy's not even looking at him, and the guy just comes at him and says something to him, and he says, "Hey," he said, "Look, man, there's no need for you to even worry about that. You don't even write the songs, whatever. Anyway, you got nothing to do with writing the songs." Stuff like that, which was a lie, because Charles did write songs as well, right? He did write songs with him as well, which was a lie. But anyway, he was just like, man, yeah, you don't got to worry about it. You don't even write the song, because everybody swore they knew Charles and Troy's dynamic. We know Troy was the majority, whatever, music person, yeah, but Charles also wrote songs and did business as well. He was more of the hybrid of the company. So anyway, he was like, yeah, man, you don't need to worry about that. You're not writing the songs, the business, and all that stuff. And then Charles said, what? Dude got up. Charles got up, went to the door, closed the door, went over to the dudes, went over to his chair and had his finger in his hand. Don't you ever disrespect me and talk about my business. And I'm right there on top of them, and I'm just throwing the papers around like on the desk and stuff. And we just sitting there and just intimidating, mushing them. And the dude was like, all right, man, my bad. All right, man, my bad. Whatever. And then Charles had his shirt. And then he said, you ever fucking disrespect me? And then he just threw him threw him back in his seat like crazy. Threw him back in his seat. And then he said, come on, Bugs. And so we walking out. And he turned around and said, make sure to have my money, whatever, for me. And I lie to you not. At the end of the week, Charles had his money. He had his money and the advance to the business he didn't even do yet. That money was taken care of. This was a big dude. I'm trying to tell you, this is a big dude. Everybody don't want to talk about it, but that's a part of the business, whatever, as well. You got to have a little bit of that street stuff, whatever, in you. And dude actually had that stuff. I'm telling you right now. That's when I started teasing him and calling him Suge Knight. Whatever. At that time. But again, this was I'm talking about an extremely nice dude who hated that stuff. He hated that stuff. He just, some people just took him there. He doesn't tolerate that. Me, before, knowing that stuff, seeing that stuff, I would have tolerated a little bit more of that. Me not just knowing, just knowing the business and knowing who to do that to. Like whatever. And when I say knowing who to do that to, ain't like he pick and chose. It's just, this is how the guy whatever acted, and this is how he reacted, kind of thing. And then also, a guy thought he was a guy that he can do that to, and he picked the wrong dude. I know it was another incident, and we were at this place called the Mercer Lounge down in Soho, at the Mercer Hotel, I believe it was. And it was a dude, again, I'll withhold his name, as well, that he goes and gets this guy a job. Like, this guy was had hardship going on for his family. Okay? And Charles goes and get this guy a job. Right? He used to call Charles every day. Right? Oh man, I got this for you. I got this for you in business. Oh, I want to do this and do that. Charles felt bad for the dude. So anyway, he winds up getting this guy a job. This guy's in his job maybe 3 months in, 4 months in. Doing transactions. And Charles is like, hey man, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a slew of artists. I got a gang of songs. Smyrny, why aren't you hitting me up and getting me some of this work. I got you a job. Right? And next thing you know, this guy ghosts Charles. Didn't call him back, not calling him back, ducking him, and just being a total butthole, right? Playing him after this guy got him a job. And you know, like, it's hard at that time because it's like, what do you do? Like, you know, you can't run up, you know, like just run up in the office and do that because, again, he has a business. And he doesn't want to get that kind of reputation, whatever. So, you know, he's just like, all right, cool, like the right time, you know, whatever will come and he'll fix it. And I'm telling you something, his patience is crazy, like, right? And every time he said that, I doubted it. And every time he said that, it came true. Because we just go to the Mercer Hotel just to hang out. And there this guy is. This is after a couple of months, after all this stuff. There he is. So we're sitting there, we're eating and enjoying ourselves. Again, you know, running around because, again, we, you know, used to chase those great things, whatever, as well. So we're there and I'm enjoying a beverage, you know, sitting thing. And I know his tone of voice when it switched. And he just popped up, hit me in my shoulder, pop. It's on, man. Come on. And I was like, all right, let's go. It was never a question with me. Like, all right, cool, let's go. I don't care who it is. All right, come on, let's go. And we go up there, and next thing you know, he goes and taps this dude who's sitting in the seat and say, yo, homie, come here, man, let me talk to you for a minute. And grabs him in the back and pressed this guy up against the wall and was like, just was going off on him. And Charles Eversting, people who know Charles know what I'm talking about. His face turns red because he's light skinned. So his face turns red. He used to call the thing like, man, I'm getting a face ache. I'm getting a face ache, right? So his face turns red, and he pressed this guy up against the wall, and he just calls him all kinds of MFers and all kinds of crazy. Like, the dude was just shook, and he was just explaining his trust. This dude was just explaining himself, and obviously, you know, I'm right there, like, with him. I'm right there with him, like, yeah, what's the problem, Spike? You know what I'm saying? And I'm there, so I'm pressing him like, yeah. Whatever he's saying, yeah. You know, like, what if that? And you better do what he says, like that. That's all I'm saying. I'm there pressing this dude, and the dude would just start coming up with all kinds of just bull crap, whatever excuses and things. He just was getting fly. He got fly on him, and he had to fix it. And immediately right after that, the floodgates opened with business with him. I remember Charles came by because, again, I was working for him at this time. I was working for Character Music at this time. I forgot. I meant to say, but the name of the company was Character Music, and I was working with Character Music at this time, right? So they the floodgates opened with work, and I remember he came by my desk and said, yeah, man, Tar, finish that up, whatever. That's that work with that dude. I said, okay. And then he put his little smirk on. Anybody who know Charles know what I mean when he puts that little smirk on. And I was like, oh, okay. Another one. You know what I'm saying? Before Khaled, boy, another one. You know, kind of thing. So we did that. But again, these are all things that I was learning. I was there. And I was learning, and like I said, I went everywhere with this dude, man. Everywhere. I'm Miami, everywhere. Super Bowls, Grammys, Soul Train Music Awards. I'm talking about like floor seats. Like, I was everywhere, whatever, with Charles, and I've learned a lot, whatever, with him. He was just everything to me. He was my Yoda. We used to tease because we were big Star Wars buffs, and we were good at reading between the lines, kind of stuff. So we knew what it meant, you know, metaphors, all that kind of stuff. So we loved Star Wars and stuff like that, and how we teach it. So he was basically Yoda, and I was Luke. And we used to tease the thing. They used to tell me, lift the ship out of the swamp. Lift the ship out of the swamp. Kind of stuff, mentality. When I used to mess up, like, on certain things, he'd be like, man, you got to focus. You got to be better. So I did that. He also paid me. Different with him. I was on a payroll, whatever, with him. He paid me. He was legit with that. He offered that and he did that. I give him credit, whatever, with that. He used to pay me, and what I was doing to earn that, I was placing songs. So I placed a bunch of songs, right? And I play songs on big acts too. Let me tell you something. When I play songs, I play songs like on. I know one was one of the biggest ones ever. Like they Charles and them automatically themselves. They had Boyz II Men and Tyrese was their claim to fame. I think they did Whitney Houston and some other stuff. I think, again, it was some stuff that Charles was able to do. They did a bunch of acts, but their real claim to fame was Boyz II Men and and Tyrese. That was the biggest thing. They had big acts. But I brought in another one of their biggest acts, which was All For One. And that could have been, far as for All For One. So Tim, I forgot his last name, but he was the manager of All For One, kind of thing. And he's a white guy that took a liking to me, right? Again, with all those skills, whatever that I learned, whatever from before socially, this is stuff that I was doing on my own. This is why Charles trusted me, and this is why Charles really messed with me, because I basically was able to go out there on my own. He ain't had to do nothing. I was making money for the company on my own. And now I want you to know there were several other songs, whatever, that I got placed that were bringing money. I'm talking about at $15,000 a pop, $20,000 a pop, all that kind of stuff. I would basically get the song place, get it done, get my relationship with the A&R person, and then I'll call Charles, and then Charles will come in, and then he'll finish the deal, basically saying, this is how much you gonna pay us for this, and do all that stuff like that, do the business part, which I didn't mind, because again, I was learning, at that time, that business part. So anyway, so I got this group All For One, and we jumping up and down. Charles and I, we went out. He took me out, whatever, I think we went to Nobu to celebrate that, whatever, as well. And we went out there, whatever, to celebrate that, and we was excited. So everything is set up for us to go. We were going to California, whatever, to record these guys. These guys were huge. These guys at that time was like, they're like they were on the verge of being like another black Backstreet Boys. They were pop. Kind of stuff. So there was nothing hood about these guys, right? Nothing hood, whatever, about them. And they was just selling millions of records. And again, like I told you before, millions of records back then is different from what it is now. Millions of records really was money. Really was money. But anyway, so we're out there and we're working at I think it's either Record Plant or I forgot the name of the other studio that we're out in California working in, right? And so we out there, and Charles and I is happy. So Troy is there, as well. And this is at some time when I don't know. I don't want to say animosity, whatever, started kicking in, but some issues started going on with Troy and myself because I was hanging out with Charles so much, right? You get to see what it was, and then plus the group was telling me. Were telling me about the stuff, whatever that was being said. This is all the internal stuff that was going on, but I'm like, whatever. I didn't care. There was no problem, as far as with myself, whatever, and Charles. So it didn't matter to me. And Charles would call me in, and I would come. But and then at the same time, I'm making money for you. Shut up was basically my attitude. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to hear. Like none of that stuff, and which was all Charles cared about, whatever, as well. We were friends, yes, but I was making money, whatever, for the company, right? So anyway, and he knew that. Bottom line, Barbara knew that, who was basically did all the books, whatever, from Charles, all that stuff. But they all knew what I was bringing to the company. So anyway, so we're out there in California, and the three of us, and we're there. So Troy is at the board like he usually is, prepping whatever for the group, whatever, to come in, right? And so we sit there and we like, everything is just perfect. Like we just like, oh, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be that, we're gonna sell, it's gonna be great, right? So then we go, and Charles and I do what we usually do. Get on out of there, right? Because the business part is done, right? The music guy is here, and he's going to take care of everything, right? He's going to get that record done. He's going to get those vocals on, and we're going to be out of here. You know, we're going to fly back. Great. We got a lot of money, and also going to be a lot of royalties, whatever involved. Which, by the way, again, I was getting no royalties. No royalties. All right. I was just getting. I wasn't even getting money from the advance that they were getting. I wasn't getting any money from that. I was getting a check. I'm not even going to tell you what my check was, you know, at that time. And I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to tell you what my check was. Because it was what I agreed to. It was what was good for me, you know, whatever at that time. It was invaluable knowledge, whatever that I was learning. It was that. Again, I'm humble enough to own up to that. It was that. I didn't know anything, remember, about percentages. I just got, you know, I got in that situation, whatever, with Tim, but I'm in another situation where I'm putting in my work for me to be able to be able to go to that level. They actually had a previous partner. His name was Lyndon. And Lyndon was actually booted out of their company because he felt the same way. He felt like he should have got more. He should have been more of a partner. And he also had a problem with Troy. He felt like he should have been Charles's partner at Character Music, and Troy shouldn't have been getting a full share. But Charles, again, being who he was fair and said, we can't do that. This is why we're eating, because of this guy's whatever music. We got to be fair to him. He was always fair when it came to that. When it came to Troy put in enough work. He was with him long enough. He always took care of Troy, far as in regards to that, without Troy even having to ask. He did that on his own. This is a fact. This is a fact. I don't care what anybody. This is a fact. I was there. I seen it. All right. I was there and I seen it. But anyway, so we're at the studio. And we're like, all right, cool. We're gonna be out. You know, we be back because there's no need for us to be there anyway. And Troy, you know, he needs elbow room. You know what I'm saying? So he don't want nobody saying nothing. He don't want nobody. You know, he likes to command the room, the studio. So we just didn't want to get in the way, whatever of that. So we left. Went to a strip club or something like that. You know, that's what we do to get our mind together and to celebrate our greatness, right? We just some greatness. And you know, all we know. So I'm sitting out there and we having a good time, and then I get a text. I get a call from Tim, the manager, and he says, "Man, come back here now, man. Come back here now. This is not gonna work." And I'm like, "What?" So I tell Charles, I'm like, "Yo, man, we gotta go." You know? And I was like, what are you talking about? I said, bro, Tim just was like, yo, this is not going to work. Go back. And Charles, because Charles knows Troy, he knows him in these moments, and I don't. And Charles just put his head in his hands. It's like, come on, man. So we get up, and then we go, and we there. And this is Charles' face. Every time when a problem is being discussed, he's just like this. He's listening, right? Not talking, listening. Because at the whole time, he's just trying to figure out how he can fix it, right? We get back there, and Troy has this guy in the group crying. We like, what is going on? Troy is in there bullying this dude, saying, you need to do this, you can't do that, you need to be better, you need to be this, that. These are guys who are already selling millions of records. And he's in there going off, bullying this dude. I tell you right now, this is the God's honest truth. He's in there going off on this dude, and the whole group is trying to console him. They're, you know, and again, these are nice guys. These aren't guys whatever from the hood. And it wasn't the lead guy. It was the next lead guy, the black guy. I forgot his name. But it was him. And I'm with him. I'm trying to talk to him while Charles is talking to Tim, the manager, which was all crazy because, again, I'm the one who have the relationship with Tim, the manager. The next thing you know, Charles, everybody's like, everybody just get out of the studio. This is what Tim's saying. This is what this white guy's saying. He's walking around with a little puppy dog, all kinds of stuff. And he's like, everybody, get out of the studio. And we just like, oh my God. So Tim walks out with the group, he's walking out with the group and I'm walking out with him. And I'm just apologizing. I'm like, listen, man, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that this would have happened, but we can continue on. I can do the vocals, like whatever for the group and thing. And, he just didn't understand, he thought the guys, whatever, were a different kind of singer. And, he just has some issues sometimes, like dealing with kind of singers, like, he probably had personal things going. I was just saying anything to defend Troy is what I was doing. And he was like, yeah, whatever, man. He was like, whatever, man. I'm going to take these guys and these millions of records that you were going to sell, because the song, they already stamped it at the label as a single. Okay? As a single. I'm going to take all these millions of dollars that you guys were going to earn, and I'm just going to walk out of the door. And I was like, I'll do the vocal. He's like, yeah, we'll see about that tomorrow, guy. That's what he said. And let me tell you, that was the very last time I've heard from that man. I have not seen him or heard from him since. They gave us maybe a good $30,000 advance. Didn't even respond, didn't care if they didn't want it back. Keep the money, Smirny. We're doing no business with you ever again. This guy walked and got in a car, and it's just, you don't understand. For me, that was my thing. That was my moment. Like, that was my thing. And that crushed us. That crushed me. Crushed y'all home a second. And I get some of my Macallan. Macallan 12, by the way. Don't sleep on it. Yeah, man. So anyway, all that greatness walks out of the door. So now we go back in the studio, and Charles is sitting on the sofa in the back, and Troy is sitting at the mixing board, at the big mixing board, right? And he's there, and Troy has on headphones. Troy has on his headphones, and he's bobbing, like he just doesn't care what just happened. Bobbing his head, kind of stuff, right? And he's staring towards the vocal booth, which is in front of him, and knowing it's coming. Like, he gotta know it's coming, because again, they knew each other way longer than I knew him. And I knew them both. So I'm sitting back there, and it's just silence, right? All you can hear is the music coming out of Troy's headphones. And I'm looking at Charles, and Charles is staring at Troy with I'm talking about the most upset and meanest look that at that time I've ever seen him have. And again, yes, face red, cherry red. Like, just heated. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh my God, that's gonna be crazy, right? So Charles winds up getting up and going over to the board, and then he says to Troy, yo, what was that? Right? And Troy's like, man, It's just what it is. Like, the kid just don't know how to sing. And I'm just not even to work with nobody like that. I'm not even to work with nobody like that. You know, I'm not going to do any of that. You know, that's just what it is. You know, he doesn't know how to sing. These songs need to come out right. You know, that's what it is. You know, that's what Troy said, right? And this is when I learned how to separate business from personal, right? Or personal from business, and to accept, reality, and why you have to move a certain way you need to move. All that, what I just said, I learned all that in this moment. Charles said, he looked at him, didn't even respond, and said, yo, Bugs, come on, man. And we just walked out. Just walked out. Right? And I think we went, actually, I think we went, where did we go? I swear it's going to sound like this, I'm scripting this, but I think we went to have some sushi, after that, out there in LA. And during that car ride, he just put me on all of, he said, that's why we won't be as big as the Jimmy Jams, as the Untouchables, as any duo that that needs to be in music. And he said, because of that. And he said, because ego will kill you at any time. Ego will kill you at any time. And he said, you need to learn that, Books. He said, ego will kill you at any time. That was unnecessary to have to do that to that kid. And he said, these are the pros and the cons of working with a partner, right? And this is also the necessity of having a partner, because a partner is somebody that basically fills a void in that other person that they need. So Charles needed Troy for his musicianship and writing and singing and ability, all that stuff like that, and engineering. Also, Troy was also an engineer. He was engineering himself, basically. At that time, he was a beast. So he needed him for that. But then Troy also needed Charles, whatever, for the business aspect. Troy would probably go out and get a deal, but Troy get the kind of deals that he get screwed over. And in fact, when Troy began with Charles had to get him out of a deal. That's basically how they thing began. He had to get him out of a terrible deal that he was in, and then he brought him on with him, and he saved him. And I'm saying that in public. Charles Farrar saved Troy Taylor in the very beginning of their relationship, their business relationship. He saved him. Okay? Because I'm going to tell you something. Charles could have got anybody. There was 1,000,000,001 producers and songwriters, whatever had. But he had Charles. And I'm not going to go into other stuff because, again, like I said, I respect Troy. I do. I still respect him. We ended in a crazy way. And I'll go into that too. We ended in a way, but I still respect Troy. I'm not going to say the stuff that Charles had to. It's so many things that Charles had to save Troy from. This is a fact. And you could ask a Carl Thomas, you could ask a Trey Songz, you could ask a lot of people who were there, whatever, with us. They know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? So he had to save them, whatever, from a lot of stuff. So they, and I'm saying that to say where this was a true partnership that really needed each other. They were great together, is what they were. And if they were together, whatever, even now, they will both still be on, like doing it that way. But it's just the fact that, again, the way Charles did business, the shrewd business, it just bothered, whatever, some people, and it started, to get with Troy. Troy just felt like he didn't need him anymore. And so they went there, they started going their own ways. And I ain't gonna go into the particulars of what's said, because when there's a breakup, there's always going to be nasty things, whatever said, but all that stuff don't even matter. That's just, that's just talk. You know what I'm saying? All that kind of stuff. That's just feelings, that's emotion, that's just talk. You know, they said a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to do that stuff. I'm just going to say it was time for them, whatever, to go their own ways. You know, Troy got older. Troy was always with somebody, was never on his own, and wanted to do the thing on his own. I'm not going to say the things he said, but a big thing that really broke them up was really the handling of Trey's songs, as far as in the beginning, right? So and then we'll go into that whatever as well. But anyway, so where was I at? So anyway, I learned a lot in regards whatever with that, which Charles was just separating business and personal. He knew this was his guy. He knew that he's not going to change. He's obviously had these talks with him a bunch of times, and he just walked away and left it alone. And he just was explaining to me, you know, what it was, because I was hurt because I knew how much like bonus, like Charles was giving bonuses, like far as his job. So I knew bonuses that I would have received, you know, by that happening. So I was definitely bummed, you know, as far as in regards to that, and I didn't like it. So anyway, so you know, things went on that pretty much the same way for a while in regards with that, with them. Things like that would happen. I remember there was a meeting with L.A. Reid, and Charles was playing, Charles and Troy were playing songs for one of their acts, and he was doing, and Troy just went crazy and jumped on top of a desk, you know, kind of stuff. Not jump on top. He jumped up in the sky and then kissed the ground. And L.A. Reid was looking at Charles like, who is this guy? what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So it was again, there were two different personalities, you know, but again, I give Charles his credit that he just knew how to handle him and how to handle that to still be successful. There's a lot of people that would have been in that instance, and then their stuff would have been done with. Now this is me, you know, just I'm on the side and I'm there, and I'm physically there, and I'm seeing all this stuff, right? I know all the stuff that's going on. I know the arguments when they come back on. Charles is like, bro, you can't jump up in the sky and kiss the ground in front of the president. you can't do these wacky things. But that was Troy's personality. Anybody who knows Troy will tell you that too. This is shiny suit man. You know, Troy always was a guy who wanted to be an artist, but, you know, he had to be behind the scenes, you know, kind of thing. It was just better for him. He made more money doing that, right? So anyway, so, you know, Troy, this is something that Charles was dealing with, you know, far as way, and their dynamic, whatever worked for what it is. Everybody knew that Troy was that personality, and this was Charles's whatever personality. To make a long story short, so those things, whatever happened, that wasn't the first time that happened. Like for All for One, you know, that happened whatever with some other acts. I remember that happened with 702, you know, and I remember the girl. The light-skinned girl in 702 literally got in an argument with Troy, and because he was making the other girl, whatever, cry, the dark-skinned girl, I forgot, the beautiful girl, the dope singing girl, he was making her cry, and this girl can actually sing her face off, and Troy was making her cry in the studio, and that girl went off. She wasn't having it. Like, she went in, all that stuff. Again, Charles and I, we walked him in the studio, we left, and then we came back, and it was mayhem. Right? So Charles fixed that though, because I believe that was his boys group. I don't know why. I think Todd Bozak, who was a great friend of Charles, he worked with Michael Bivins, you know, at the time, and at Motown, and I think Todd Bozak arranged that. So, you know, it was a lot of friendship involved, whatever there. So Charles was able to fix it and still get the music on the album and all that kind of stuff. But again, it happened there, whatever as well, and Charles saved the day, whatever there. He just did. This is just the truth. I got no problem nobody being mad at me for telling the truth. This is just the truth, right? So that was able to happen, whatever, because of that. Now, let's get to the ugly part, you know, of everything. So, again, like I said, things really started getting bad when deals, whatever, got done. I remember Charles sent me over to the lawyer office. I believe the lawyer at that time was Paul Schindler, right? And I went over to the office to get mad because I ran errands all the time. That's what I was running errands, at the time. And by the way, just letting you know, this is working coincide while I'm working with Timmy, so I didn't get my actual deal on whatever as of yet. I did get it while I was with him, but not as of yet. So anyway, I go to Paul Schindler's office and I pick up an envelope, and stuff, and a big manila envelope inside. So Charles is like, yo man, go over there, whatever, get that for me, whatever, and bring that back. So I go there, and then I come back, and I'm loyal. I'm loyal to. I don't sneak read people's stuff. I don't do none of that stuff. Because sometimes with me, you never know if it's a setup. If somebody wants to see if you're going to do something like that, kind of thing. So I don't do none of that. You know what I'm saying? I just never did none. Steal, whatever, and never did none of that. In regards with business with that, I'm not gonna say I was a total saint. Like there's some things whatever that happened, but with that stuff, when I'm working for somebody, I never played around. I never did none of that, right? So I go and I get back to the office, and Charles is there, and Charles is like, yo, he said, man, you looked in there, you seen it? I said, no. I said, what are you talking about? You sound crazy to me. Like, no. And he was like, open it up. Open it up. And here's a check in there for $3 million, right? From a deal, whatever, that he just cut, right? A $3 million deal and stuff. And then, I'm sitting there with him, and Charles was just like, you gotta have some sort of ego, which I know I said no ego, but you gotta have some sort of ego with you to be great, right? You gotta have so Charles used to show off, a lot of that stuff, whatever, with me, but that was between he and I, kind of thing. And I used to do it with him, whatever, too. So, but he used to show me like, yo, I'm doing business, boy, I'm doing business. But again, it was good for me to see because it showed me what can be made. And he probably, I may take that back. He wasn't showing off. He was just showing me what can happen, whatever, from good business, right? And I'm telling you, it if I wasn't hooked before, I was hooked like even more now. So anyway, things went left at that time, and I think it just got to the point where they just was, he was at his limit with the antics, whatever, with Troy, and then Troy probably was doing that because he felt like he wanted to be his own boss now. He felt like the money was funny, kind of thing. Like I said, it was a bunch of other incidents and things, whatever, that happened in between, but that stuff is really personal, and I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not that guy because, again, I'm still cool with these guys, whatever, to this day, and they know there's nothing that I'm saying here is a lie, right? So, and there's nothing like that that's putting them out there. It's just happenings, as far as when you're in business. But I'm still cool with these guys, whatever, both to this day. Troy and my relationship is still, still exactly what it was. It was, it wasn't super tight. It was, we were great. He was somebody. He was a mentor for me as well. But he wasn't somebody I was with every day. Charles is someone I was with, whatever, every day. Kind of stuff. So it was different with me and him because, again, like I said, I was closer to him, and he did a lot of things, whatever, for me. Trust me, he did a lot of things, whatever, for me. So anyway, let me get to how I wound up having to leave the company, right? I wound up having to leave the company over something that I did that I thought I was doing good, right? I thought I was doing good. I was selling songs as I always do, but I think Charles started to feel like I was getting not too big for my business because I was never talking to him crazy or nothing like that. But he just felt like people were starting to acknowledge me a lot, right? I was getting a lot of relationships, getting things whatever, getting things on my own, like doing stuff. I was always doing that, and I just, again, my relationship started to do well, and I was creating a lane, whatever, for myself. I guess he felt like that. But with me, even if that was whatever the case, my loyalties were so crazy. It doesn't matter if he would have asked me to do anything, I would have done it. Yes. So I wound up going to a meeting that I set up, like I always do, to sell the material, right? So I had a bunch of their songs, whatever, with me, right? But on this time, I knew where I was going to set this meeting up over at it was Universal. I think I was going to Universal MC. I believe that's where it was. I was going to Universal. So I was going over there to sell the material for Aaron Hall, who was a friend of mine from God. What's up, Aaron? So anyway, I went to the meeting, right? But when I went to the meeting, I had a group with me. There's a guy, Anthony Beard, and two other guys, whatever, that I created a 3-guy group, whatever, from. And I had them sit in the lobby while I go, and I took care of the business first for the company I worked for. And my plan was, after I secured that, if it was able, I would bring in this act, right? So I went and I went in a meeting again, and the song that they did, I was able to place, right? I placed a song. I forgot the girl's name, who was the president, whatever, at the time. I know I found out who she was. I didn't know who she was, whatever, in the beginning. But anyway, so I go in a meeting with her. We place a song, and the thing's amazing. And then I said, hey, if you got like 5 or 10 minutes, I also have an amazing group that we have. Okay, not that I have, that we have, meaning character, music, and myself. Because again, you got to remember, like, I'm not going to go into what I was making, when weekly, but it was crumbs, right? And I'm making these guys thousands of dollars, $1 million. I'm trying to get in where I can have a piece of something where it can be significant like anybody would. There's nothing unreasonable, whatever, about that, right? So, and how can I do it in an honest way? By bringing work to them, in my mindset, by bringing work to them and me earning that. So it's basically like, if I sell your jacket, I get a commission from it. And that's just my mind from it, where I'm going to sell this group, which is going to be yours, signed to you, and I will make a commission from it, right? To me, which was nothing wrong with that. Why not, right? So I'm telling her, I have some guys that we have that I think are amazing, that that you want to you might want to listen to. She said, okay, bring them in, right? So she brings them in. She calls them and tells her assistant to bring them in. They come in, and let me tell you something, the stars aligned. And let me tell you why. So they in there with their keyboard and stuff like that, all is good, we setting up and we're done, ready to go. And Doug Morrison, the guy of it all, walks into her office. And he just went there to see her and talk to her. It was unexpected. And then she was like, while he's there, she's like, you know who this is? And I said, yes. I said, Doug Morrison, nice to meet you, sir. And they go, and then she said, okay, guys, go. In front of him, right? So they sung their faces off. And he said, this is dope. He said, hey, sign that. I know her name starts with a J. I just can't remember what it is. But anyway, he was like, get them. And then he walked out of the office, right? And she's on board, she's clapping, she was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, she's really pumping me up, right? And I'm gonna tell you why I said she's really pumping me up and gassing me, right? I'll tell you about why that is later. So anyway, so we like, yeah, like, things is good. Anybody will tell you, like, that's all you want. You want to have a meeting like that, right? And things is all good. So now we go, and then we leave. We're leaving, and everybody is excited. So we go back to the building, which was their building, by the way. They had this ridiculously dope studio character music studio, Charles called the Weight Room, that was on 23rd Street in the Iron District, right? And so we get back there. That's why I said if I'm sneaky, I'm not bringing them back whatever to the office. I'm not trying to do that. So I'm like, I'm bursting. My anxiety is crazy. I can't wait to get back because I can't wait to tell Charles like what I just did and what I got for you, Spike. What I got for you? For you. And before I can say a word, I'm walking to the back to where his office is. They had me like in a record closet on the side. The guys sit down in the middle of the room because that was a huddle up spot right in the middle of the floor of the office with a little table and a TV and all that stuff. And he goes and he just says, his face is screwed up and he's like, yo, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you took them to the meeting, I'm gonna fire you. Bro, what? He said, if you took them to the meeting, I'm going to fire you because I don't do business like that. Bro, I'm sitting there, and again, I have a little temper, so I'm calming myself, whatever, as well, because I'm like, why are you talking to me like that? I said, what are you talking? I'm literally doing this for us, right? I wound up finding out later on, Charles had business cards, whatever, with them, with one of the dudes in the group, and there was some animosity going on between them that I had no idea of. Something with Vincent Herbert and all the stuff that I had no idea of. This was a while back, something I didn't know. But anyway, he said that he doesn't do business like that. So I just thought it was crap, and then I lied. I'm not gonna lie. I lied. I said no, I didn't bring him with me. No, I didn't bring him with me. And then he says, let you know. Because the girl who you took a meeting with, she used to babysit my kids. And that's when I just really knew. I said, okay, this is over. Like, because you say you gonna fire me, and you know the girl, you definitely gonna call her, you know her, whatever like that. So then as soon as I walked out of his office, I believe he called her and found out whatever that was happening. So anyway, so he was a man of his word. And he told me, yo, I'm gonna have to let you go. Which I thought was some bullshit. I just felt really betrayed, right? Whatever by him for doing that, right? For some whatever personal reason he had going on. He knew what I was doing for that. And if he spoke to her, he would know that I said, this is a character, whatever group. So I didn't even get it. It was some personal shit he had going on, okay? That had nothing to do with me. Try to talk about it was some business. You can't go out and do this kind of business. When can you not do more business for a company that you're working for? That don't even sound right. So I know it's something personal he had going on, whatever, with them. But anyway, she winds up ratting on me and telling them whatever that. And then I said, okay, cool. And then I was coming to get my, and then he told me to come back in and he was going to, for me to get my stuff kind of thing. And then he'll give me my money, departure money, whatever for the company. So I came back, and to make a long story short, when I came back, he gave me some bull crap check that I was like, this is bull crap, right? And from everything I done, and then out of nowhere, this dude gives me an expense sheet. I'm talking about since I walked in the door, the very first time I walked in the door on Bond Street, this dude had itemized everything he gave me down to the Twix and the Kit Kat, which I just thought was grimy. So, because a lot of stuff I was doing and I wasn't even getting paid residuals or royalties from money that I created, whatever, for the company, and also with that $3 million whatever check. Because I'm sure the songs that I did and thinking I placed was a part of that deal. But it's good. It is whatever what it is. And then from there, I come back whatever to do that. I'm not going to say the guy's name, because Charles know how I get down, but he wound up calling him and having him have some dudes, whatever, just in case I wild out, because he knew I was coming to get my things, kind of stuff, whatever there, which was, I'm like, whatever. I came there like, whatever. I just wasn't even interested in that type of stuff. Troy, I saw Troy poked his head out of the door with some silver jacket and gargles and talking about, yeah, man, you shouldn't have did it like that. kind of thing. I'm like, bro, what? Get out of here, kind of stuff. So I went and I got my stuff, got on the elevator, and then I left. And then from there, I felt like I wasn't compensated, correctly. So I still had access to whatever, there's certain things. So I wound up moving to Atlanta, and then, I'm not going to get into that, but, because again, I'm not trying to embarrass nobody and do none of that stuff. But I did what I had to do, because I felt like I wasn't compensated for myself. I felt like I was taken advantage of, whatever kind of stuff, whatever, from not only a business guy, but my friend. Right. So that really crushed me. But anyway, it just drove me to go back, to move, to leave the city, which I did. I left the city, and I moved to Atlanta at that time with the money that I had, whatever that wound up coming in at that time simultaneously, and bought me a house, whatever, out there. And I chose to take that time for me to craft and to learn my craft. And to get better at songwriting and to get better at being an engineer, kind of stuff. And that's what I did. I grew an afro and a beard. People thought they had to have an intervention talk with me when they see me, because I was just in my house learning just how to do that. Babyface was a big influence on me. Diane Warren was a big influence on me. Michael something, I forgot his last name. He was a big influence on me, type of stuff. And then Sean, who used to work with Rodney Jerkins, he was a big influence on me. That guy was just a phenomenal writer. God bless the dead, phenomenal writer. Yeah, but I went out there and I started crafting myself. And then also in between there, just a real blip, I used to work with this guy, James Earl Jones, and I'm just going to tell you, I learned what not to do working with him. I'm not going to go into details with that because he passed, and I don't think it's fair to talk about somebody who's who passed. But again, I learned what not to do working with him. And again, like I said, Charles put me on whatever with him. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to end this with this. Charles to this day is still my friend. Not my friend, like my best friend. Like, he calls me, I'm going to come. Right? We've always had these spats. Like, even when that thing happened, it's basically like a big brother sending me out. The same way Andre Harrell did Puffy. He just kicked me out for me to become my own man. And with that happenings right there, I pretty much figured out what it was, right? And this is why we remain friends and what it was. He was just telling me, you can't be me in my company. Right? You can't be me in my company. You got to go out there and get your own. Don't try to eat under me. You want more, that's cool, but I can't give you more because I have a partner. But you want to be me, okay, no problem. I gave you the skills for you to be able to flourish. Go use the skills, whatever I gave you, right? Or helped, whatever to give you. And that's why I wound up seeing it as I matured. That's what it was. And from there, we mended our friendship, whatever, again. I mean, so much so this guy was the best man in my one of the groomsmen, I should say, in my wedding, and just taught me more. And then I call him to this day about anything. He gives me insight. He gives me links. We know each other's children. All kind of stuff like that. He is an absolute plus to my life, and this is Charles Farrar I'm talking about. Absolute plus to my life, and I will never ever hate on him or try to discredit him, whatever, for that. It's just in business, you have good times and you have bad times, and it's just how you handle it. I'm sure Puff felt the same way about Andre Harrell at one time, right? But then he had to see that it helped him whatever grow. So I feel like for me, that was my thing where it helped me to grow. And Charles, and I'm gonna say another thing about him, the way I talk about Eric Bill and Richard Blackstone and the other stuff, Charles used to actually go out and try to get me jobs at record companies. He actually did that. I remember when we were with Poke and Tone, whatever them dudes, they were on fire, whatever at the time. And they were looking for somebody, and I think we were in Miami, and Charles was like, yo, hire my man. And I was just like, huh? I'm with you. He's like, hire my man. And that is the kind of stuff that kept me whatever with him and kept me loyal whatever to him. He did it all the time. Unselfish all the time, right? So he's still my man to this day. Those are just things, again, the stuff we spoke about of things that just happen while you're in the industry and things you got to have your big boy pants on to be prepared for, instead of blowing it up and blowing up relationships. And Charles and I have made a lot of money since then together. A lot of eps, a lot of adventures, even since then, we've been there. Troy and I, like I said, we don't talk. We don't talk much. But I paid dues, whatever, to him because I had an artist that I got signed on Sony and a young kid. And with that, I went to Troy and I gave Troy the first single. That was me giving back. I gave Troy the first single. I wrote it, but then I gave Troy the first single, whatever, to produce, and that was me giving back, right? So I made myself whatever right with him. I made myself right whatever with Charles, and that is what you don't always, just because you have a disagreement doesn't mean that you always have to just never see nobody ever again, type of stuff. You got to be mature about it and see what it is, and see exactly what the truth is and how you can mend it rather than cause like some type of drama. Because me and Charles used to always say, you don't want to beat people up. We don't want to do that. We want to be able to have business and crack champagne. Well, even though Charles don't drink, but we want to celebrate, whatever, rather than try to hate on each other type of thing. So again, my thing I would say, winding this down, is that I appreciate everything that he did. His name is Charles Farrar. He is my actual mentor. He's my Yoda and always been that. And I appreciate you, dog. I'll give you your flowers, whatever, while you're here. And I appreciate everything, whatever that you've done for me. And that's that. So now we get to the end of that. I want to talk about this. So at the end of the day, at the end of my thing, I always give credit to somebody that I've seen searching the internet who's dope. And right now, you can see this girl right now. Look at her right here. This girl right there on the screen. You see her? Her name is Maverick. She has a song called Checking In. Let me tell you something. She is fire. She's on the internet. She's on Instagram. Right here. This is her page. Right there. That's her page. Okay? I'm telling you now. This girl is fire. You need to go peep her out. Maverick. Song is called Checking In. Crazy. I be waiting to hear original stuff like this. Like, you don't hear it no more. She's crazy. So, do yourself a favor. Tune in to Maverick. Her vocals are crazy. Her writing ability is crazy. She's somebody that's up and coming, I'm telling you right now. Check out Maverick on Instagram, on Spotify. She's everywhere. I play her in my car every day. It's ridiculous. All right, cool. So that'll be the end of this Rhythm and Emperors podcast. I'm glad that you guys, were with me again. I'll be coming up with the next one soon. All right? Have a good one. Peace.